welcome you to our session today. We welcome you to the January DTL webinar. I am excited to be hosting today, Jared Covilli here, and we're glad that you could join us. We've got just a couple of announcements that we want to make sure that we make. So let's see what we've got coming up in the next few weeks here. We mentioned that this week there may be a possibility for some virtual or snow days, right? And those days have kind of changed the way that we see them. In the past, they were always just seen as go out and play in the snow, but now it feels like it's going to be a little bit more of a virtual learning day versus a snow day. And so we just wanted to show you a couple of resources that we've put out there. So if you go to our digital teaching and learning website, digitallearning.jordandistrict.org, you will see all different kinds of ways that you can explore in Canvas or in Google Classroom. Let me jump out real quick and I'll just go to our website and just show you a few other things that we have on here. But you can find a wide variety of virtual learning days activities that you can do. So if I come onto our homepage, you can see you can click on Canvas, Nearpod, Google Slides and Forms, Adobe, or Canva, and we've got just all kinds of different things that you could do with students if suddenly you find that tomorrow we're going to have a virtual day or someday this week. So maybe shoot out an email if you get notified that we're moving virtual for one of the next couple of days, and your teachers very quickly can have something that they can use that would guide the learning in a virtual environment if they don't have anything kind of already prepared. So we just wanted to share that with you and give you that as an option for today. So let's see, I accidentally lost my slides. Let me pull my slides back up. So that's the first thing. We just want to make sure that you're all aware that there are a lot of virtual day resources for you coming from us. The second thing that we wanted to mention to you all that you can start passing along to your teachers, since our last meeting, contracts have been signed. Our district has officially adopted School AI. So if you actually go to our website again, you'll notice that it's part of our Big Six now. So we've kind of revamped how we kind of categorize some of the Big Six, but School AI is now part of that. And we just wanted you to be aware that onboarding for School AI will take place over the month of January. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, School AI will be available in the Google Waffle. That you can just click on that, use your Jordan login, you'll just be able to go right into it and start using that. So everybody that's been part of our pilot, you'll just keep using your same account. For those who haven't joined yet, it will just be a new account for you using your Jordan School District email and your Google login there. So that's how that will.
Hey, Jared.
Yeah.
With those of us that are creating kind of tutorials for our teachers, do you want us to share those with you to then share it with other teachers on how it can be used, or kind of
you're
what?
going to do your own? If you have anything that you'd like to share with us, Krista, we'd love to see it. We've developed a bunch too, but as we really move into this next phase where it won't just be the people who've kind of signed up on their own, but now everybody will have access, you're going to see a lot more from our department of those kind of resources. So yeah, anything that you're pushing out there, we'd love to see it. You bet. The last thing,
Jared.
Oh, go ahead, Ross.
Just to let everyone know that School AI
Ross, you're kind of cutting in and
come out with that. Also tomorrow, would you just tell them about the School AI integration to Canvas?
Yeah, you bet. Ross is kind of cutting in and out, but we should let you know that School AI keeps developing new tools and new connections, new integrations. And so we will very quickly be able to show you, and they're going to announce it probably tomorrow, that School AI now, the Canvas integration is going to be up and running. So within the next little bit, as we kind of get everybody on board and all these things, you'll actually be able to have a School AI drop down from your Canvas LTI, you know, the little plug where you get the drop down and you can connect to outside resources. So you'll be able to do that with School AI starting very quickly. We're excited to announce that today. The last announcement that I had before we jump into today's trainings, our winter and spring DTL classes will begin on January the 29th. we should have open registration ready to be opened up. If not later this week, for sure by Monday of next week. So if you want to start passing along information that people can start registering, we'll announce more of that and send out information in an upcoming gem so that teachers can sign up. But we'll have virtual classes on all of our Big Six tools. So anyone can sign up for a class on any of our major tools that we use in our district that we'll be offering through the winter/spring semester. So that'll be part of what we do. Again, kind of a continuation to give you more options to learn with us virtually about some of our big tools in our district. So be aware of that and be ready to share that out with your teachers coming up shortly. Well, as you know, this year we've been talking about the ISTE standards for students, and this month we are on Innovative Designer. So we're going to have two presentations today that kind of talk about how teachers and students can learn how to design lessons and activities that help people solve problems and create kind of new and imaginative solutions to those problems, right? So it's a good way for us to think about how the materials that we create can influence our students to become kind of critical thinkers and really see how they can use these technology to help them solve problems. So I'm going to let Colby and Larissa introduce the sessions that they're going to present, and then I think we'll be ready to open those up and kind of move into those sessions. So Larissa, if you want to go first, that'd be great.
Okay. Thank you. So my session is the same as that, an innovative designer, but it's empowering students to demonstrate their knowledge. And we're going to dive into a little bit of Google Arts and Culture, Makerspace, Adobe AI, and mind mapping with Canva.
Super cool. And Colby, how about you?
So I'm calling my session Innovative Design, Unleashing Creativity with Canva, but it only has like a loose connection to Canva. I'll be showing how Canva can help in some of the steps of like design thinking, but really it could be any tool. You could substitute it for any tool that would fit. So it says for Canva, because that's what I'll be showing, but it could apply to anything, whatever you're using.
That's great. I notice as we look at Colby in his room there, if you look over his shoulder, you can see the new redesign of our Big Six that includes school AI. So that's very exciting that we're including that in our tools. So if you want
It's
to watch
also in your room, Jared.
in my
You can see
room
it behind
too,
you.
yeah.
You can see it behind you.
So if you want to watch Larissa's presentation, you'll stay in this room. If you would like to go to Colby's presentation, he's posted that in the chat, or you can see that link on the screen right now. So we'll leave that up for a moment. But we are excited to have you join us or to watch the recordings, and we'll jump into Innovative Designer today. I'll stop my screen share so that Larissa, you can take over.
Okay, so I start this. Just let me know. It's important that we have music, or I mean, have the sound today. So when I play this, if you'll please let me know if you can hear it.
Yeah, you bet.
Were you able to hear that?
Not yet.
Oh, darn it. Okay. That is what I was concerned about with the Zoom. My Zoom, for some reason.
Oh, does your Zoom not play
create
music
problems.
very well?
No,
Hmm.
it does not. So let me see. Let's try it with, let's change that. No?
No,
Oh
no.
my
And
gosh.
you turned on that share sound when you shared your screen? Maybe stop sharing your screen and just make sure you click that button to share your sound. Yeah, try that one more time. So when you go to launch it, make sure you check that little box at the bottom of that pop-up window.
Say it again, Jared.
So as you click that button to share your screen, when it first pops up and wants you to select the window or the, the screen you want to share, make sure at
Yeah.
the bottom of that
Yeah.
white screen, you check that share sound option. It's a little checkbox down at the bottom of that screen, that pop-up window.
Yeah, it says one participant can share own host. I'm on that. Share my screen. Advanced multiple. Share my screen.
Give me
Oh,
one.
there we go.
Yeah, you see
Share
it?
sound. Yep, I got it.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. That's exactly what it was. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for your patience. Now let's double check to make sure you can hear that. Okay, great. All right, so thank you so much for your patience with me on that. My computer does not like to share the sound. So ISTE standards, this is, like I said, innovative designer. And Tony Wagner, he was a fellow at Harvard, and he said that the world no longer cares how much you know, the world cares about what you can do with what you know. And I think that that's same with our students. And so we're going to go through with how can we show the world what our students know? How can our students show what they know? And so this is 1.4 innovative designer. And this standard challenges us to take some risk. And in doing so, it opens up the creativity and creates energy in our students, which is the oxygen of our profession. In allowing students to take on various roles, we encourage them to explore new skills and characteristics that may awaken interest and strengths they didn't know they had. When we think about this, what we want to do as teachers is we need to encourage the possibility of thinking. What can you try that you haven't done before? And what would you do if you knew you wouldn't fail? Could you imagine if you asked your students that? What would they say? And what would they do if they knew they couldn't fail? Would they just explore and be more creative? So really open up and encourage that possibility thinking and teach inventive thinking. So think of ordinary objects they like to use and then share some things that they can change about that item. Create and
Larisa, can I pause you
explore.
for a sec?
Yeah,
As you're
sure.
asking those questions, what would be the difference if kids didn't feel like they could fail? It's almost what we experience when we teach littles, right? Like those youngest kids, they don't worry about that. They just want to try something and they just get after it. And over time, we kind of somehow lose that in our students and in ourselves.
Absolutely. I think about that when I was, especially when I was in the classroom, I would give them take apart things. So I would do take apart station with these iPads that these the laptops we used to have. And we would take apart these Lenovo's. And these kids actually believed that they could put these Lenovo's back together and that they would run. And I just would think that I want to keep hold of that creativity and that I can't fail attitude that they kind of develop when they're turned 12, but maybe we could encourage that well beyond that 10 to 12-year-old age when they start realizing, the world doesn't revolve around me and I can fail. So how do we encourage that to keep going? And I think with this innovative designer, you can do that.
Cool.
So like he said, if we were looking at these questions and we're saying, well, think of the ordinary object that you like to use and then share some things that you can change about that item. What can you change that will make that even better? It's not, so many times we just have new items, not new items, but just better items. And then create and explore and take apart station. Use these materials to create a tinkering station. And then provide prop boxes that they can engage in role play. They also suggest encouraging them to record themselves during that and then kind of take that apart and think about what you're doing within that play. And then help students set personal goals. Often students don't know what they don't know and they don't know where they're going to go. And you can be the catalyst to that change. So as we go through, there's 4 indicators with this process or this standard. There is the process, tools, testing it out, and then grit. And what I mean by grit is that ability to kind of think things through, stick with it, and keep trying different things. So our first one we're going to talk about is innovative designer, and we're going to listen to actually ISTE talk about this one for 1 minute and 17 seconds.
Students know and use a deliberate design process for generating ideas, testing theories, creating innovative artifacts, or solving authentic problems.
The students are attempting to determine if estrogen can act as a preventative to the degradation of dopamine-producing neurons in the brain. Though we can't actually induce Parkinson's, but we can use a neurotoxin to try to simulate those Parkinsonian symptoms in zebrafish, which were our neurological model. They had experimental groups, control groups, and really kind of looking at the timing of that estrogen exposure. So they're in this whole experimental design process of constantly looking at what we did, what is it telling us, where do we go next? Sometimes we had more questions than answers, which was really a great place to be as young scientists. So much of the test-driven process of education, if you make a mistake, there's something punitive. Well, for here, every time we do something that didn't give us maybe the results we were looking for, it's data. And data isn't right or wrong. Data gives you another question to ask. The first thing you try may not work. So what do? We go back to the drawing board, rewrite the protocol, retest, and then you try again.
Okay.
I believe there was
cool.
a famous scientist that said, it was cool, right? And there was a famous scientist that said, I didn't find a way that I could fail. I failed 10,000 ways that I could not make the light bulb, I think it was. I can't remember right offhand, but that came to me. Does anybody remember that?
Yeah, Alexander Graham Bell.
Yep.
He found found 1,000 ways of not producing the light bulb.
There you go. What was cool about this particular standard with ISSE is they mentioned a 14-year-old girl from New Hampshire. She won the Discovery Education 3M Young Scientist Challenge after seeing children in India drinking dirty water from a stagnant pool. And then she found a solution to the global water crisis for them and developed a solar-powered water purification system that runs without electricity. If this 14-year-old girl can do it, why couldn't one of your students be the next innovator, designed really taking on a world challenge and solving a world problem? So when we're thinking about that, what are some tools that we can use? In this particular slide, I've got together Google Arts and Culture. This was provided to me by Kelly. Thank you so much, Kelly. And as I started playing with it, what was stood out to me the most was how easy it was to manipulate for me, and yet how difficult it also was, and how it made me continually think about what I was doing with this product. So let me just demonstrate really quickly. And in our chat, let me go ahead and put down his breakout in case anybody joins. Okay, so this paint with music. So you launch the experiment. The students can then just go right to this arts and culture. Now, I tried this on a student that had limited vision, and he actually enjoyed it. It kept his attention, and he could see it. So Kelly, do you want to say anything about this while I paint with my music here?
Oh, yeah. It looks great. Good job. No, I love Google Arts and Culture and the experiments. They're always adding new experiments all the time. And there's a lot that they're making right now with AI, which is kind of fun. Spot the AI generated image, or draw a picture and see if AI can guess what it is. So just fun ways to keep your students just trying and experimenting different things.
This one is the calling in our corals. This student that I also shared this with was really interested in the Earth, in Google Earth. And so I took him on a tour of Google Earth, and we went under the sea, which paired really well with this one right here, calling all of our corals. So when you get into this corals, you can listen to what the corals say under the water. So I took this student with this limited sight, and we went on a tour in Google, the world's ocean. And then we went back to the coral reefs and listened to that. And it opened up his imagination and his thoughts. Does anybody else have any experience working with these Google tools? Okay, this other one was really cute. This is Blob Opera. So you drag this singing blob, and then as you bring him up, another one comes in. So now you add a tenor, and then another blob will be dropped to here in a minute. When my other friend comes in here, I can keep going and adding this, and then I can create a symphony of sounds. And kind of play around with different musical parts. This pottery game. So if you start on this pottery, you can recreate this pot. And when you just drag, and if anybody's actually played with pottery, it can be quite difficult, but this kind of gives you a very good experience, a good feel for how that pot could actually, and what you would do to it, what forces work against you. So if you create this, you can create force here and drag that, and what it actually will do to your pot. And then you can finish sculpting it. You add a handle, different things, as you can see that walks you through that.
You're looking
So,
pretty pro there.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Oh, well, I did play around with it a lot yesterday.
I was gonna say
When I-
really quick too, I do think like the best thing about all these Google tools is that the kids don't have to be signed in. They don't even have to use an account. It's just like they can just go to it and click on it, and it's all approved in Learn platform. So that's nice too.
Thanks for bringing that up. Yes, everything that I've tried in here isn't approved to Learn platform. And additionally, you're right, that student that I did share it with is actually not a student in Jordan School District. It's one in my neighborhood that the mom was frustrated. And so I just shared some of these tools and some of these experiences that he could have at home. And so any kid could get on, which is great. And it's good for those snow days. We'll be thinking about that. All right. The next section we're going to go to is the tools that we get into. And so we're going to listen to Misty tell us about design constraints.
Students select and use digital tools to plan and manage a design process that considers design constraints and calculated risks.
When I first started with CPRG, I actually used the scientific method, which was successful. But once I learned more about the EDP, which stands for Engineering Design Process, I followed the cycle of how they would make the whole product work. Especially with improvements in Imagine, that's something I really wanted the kids to think about. Like, hey, what if I did this? What would be the outcome?
It's the process of how we create our ROV, which is a remotely operated vehicle. Our control box got water inside of it, so then we had to research what we had to use to waterproof the motors. So the process just keep us on track and organized.
They're not limited to anything. I give them the instruction, here you go, run with it. And whatever direction they go, I'll guide them. So one year we'll say, okay, we're gonna pick up objects. The next year we're gonna open up gates. This year's topic is about the environmental challenge. Basically, they're gonna learn how can we help clean up the ocean? What kind of tools can we do that? They're able to learn these skills and how to be a project manager, basically. If they fall off track, I'll get them back on track.
I really loved hearing that from him. Has anybody else had experience giving their students free reign of experimenting with anything?
That was fun to
Right.
hear how
Well,
he does
when
that.
I thought it was really cool that the girl said, well, we realized that we couldn't get our engines wet, so we had to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
So how do we get this kid started? How do we start planning with this mind map? So I have a mind map for us, and we can go into our chat. I'm going to give this mind map to you. Go ahead and click on that chat connection that's in Canva. It's in Canva. Now we've got a mind map that I created for us, and we're going to decide whether you like winter, spring, summer, or fall best. So we have to, as a team, need to write an opinion piece on what the best season is. So before we begin, we got to brainstorm all the season's pros and cons. So if you like one or the other, you could use these tools that are down here on the bottom to copy and add to our slide of where you like them. You could also just pick a part of the season and tell me something about it. I'll give you a second to play around with that. And as I'm seeing people move around, it looks like we have kind of all over the place. We're going to have to make a decision as a team and come together on the best season eventually and say which one we like the most. Oh, summer might be winning. We got a couple springs. So, Mary, what one did you pick? You picked summer. Good girl. All right, so what else could we do this? What else could we use this for? Hey, Heidi, I see that you jumped on. Do you think that you could use something like this with your kindergartners? Let me hidden for a minute. Cody, thanks for coming on. I bet Cody could use this over at South Valley. You could use this with your students easily.
I could use it with my kinders. I've been trying to have do more technology with kindergarten, and so that's why I get on all of these things.
I really think your kinders could absolutely drag around these little icons. I saw you use Nearpod pretty effectively with kindergartners. I bet you could use Canva. So I would be excited to see that in your classroom.
Come on
Okay.
over and show my kids how to do it.
I'd be happy to. Hey, please let me come over. Okay, we're going to go back to our planning, but I did have some links there. There's a Google Drive app that you can also go onto, and then there is Canva, of course. And if you click on that mind map, once you get this slide presentation, you can click on mind mapping for Canva, and it will give you a plethora of mind maps that you can pick for some templates. So moving into our next section, is prototypes. So when I thought prototype, I thought about the STEM fair that we always did in 5th grade of creating some prototype and then doing a STEM presentation on it, STEM fair on it. So tell me if that was your idea. And then after we listen to this, did your idea change a little bit about what prototypes
Students develop, test, and refine prototypes as part of a cyclical design process.
Today, my orchestra kids and advanced band kids will be using their traditional acoustic instruments, and they're going to be trying to augment them with a digital interface. That's perfect, but you just need to limit the amount of repeats you have in the coding. This started out as introducing non-musicians to music by them creating their own instrument and something easy to interact with. Now try touching it. See, now you're triggering it. So now what I would do is I would connect the rest and then get a way to attach this to your violin, okay? They actually reflect on their design, and that reflection is what drives their next prototype, obviously, and that's where the real learning happens. So that's something you would need to address in the next prototype. What is causing your prototype to not play consistently? So let's take a look here. But I learned so much from the students as well. I'll have my lesson planned out, expecting to go this way, and then I'll have a student say, well, what if we tried it this way? I'm like, what if we tried it that way? That's a great idea. You changed the sound. You distorted the violin. Now you can play rock violin. So bringing arts students, music students into the makerspace helps students that may be creative with the arts feel more empowered to be creative with technology. If it fails the first time or isn't good the first time, guess what you get? You get a second chance to make it right.
So I love how you said that we get a second chance to make it right. I think too often the students give up, but if we're teaching that thought process that we continue to have grit and we continue to persevere and we try the prototype, and if it doesn't work, we fix it and we keep going, we're going to develop a better student and a 21st century moving into that student that we're looking for. Absolutely. So Kelly, Cannon, and Tracy Rindlisbach are our computer science people that control our makerspace and checkouts. So in this particular area, there is an Autodesk Tinkercad that is free, and I did check in. It is in Learn platform as well, so you can get on there for your students. And if you go here to this Tinkercad, the students can build, and here they ask, and all you need is a what if. So here, these kids can get on there, they log in for free, and they can join it, and this is allowed within Learn platform. So what do we do with our students if we want to check something out that we've already had within our district? Well, we go to Jordan School District and we get into our digital learning and we can check out. So Kelly, would you like to tell them a little bit about our checkout process or what we have available?
Yeah, sure. I feel like I've been talking this entire time. Sorry. So I just put the link in the chat for you guys. And this is really cool because this is available to any teacher within the district. So it doesn't just have to be the STEM specialist or the computer science specialist at your school. And so if you go to our website, you click on any of those things you want to check out, and then there's a sign up genius. And on the Sign Up Genius, it will tell you if there's an availability and when. And the best part of all is that the district mail will send it to your school, so you don't even have to come pick it up. So that's really nice. And there's all kinds of fun things like Ozobots, Kiva planks. We have Spheros right here. So if you just want to try some of these with your students, then you can sign up. The other thing I wanted to mention really quick was Tinkercad. I love Tinkercad for 3D printing. And something you can do with your students is there's like this little tab on the top that says lesson plans, and there's
I'll
a
go
bunch
back
of
to it,
lesson
sorry.
plans in there. Oh, sorry. I was just
Let me
gonna
go
say
back to
really
it. No,
on
thank you. I'll
Tinkercad, they
show that.
have these resources. Yeah, at the top, yes. And there's lesson plans. So if you're like, what would I even do with this? It gives you all these different STEM ideas, and students can like try to design different things. Tinkercad isn't just for 3D printing though. There's also like there's coding, and then there's circuits. So if you're teaching circuits to your students, like that solar powered invention. So anyway, I would play around with that, especially with if you want your students to code. I think you would have a lot of fun with that. So if you have any questions, email me or Tracy and let us know, and we can help you check things out from the lending library. And if anybody else wants to throw something out there, go for it. Like if I forgot something, let me know.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kelly. So once again, that is just, you could email Tracy Renlisbach or Kelly Cannon, and they will help you if you can't figure this out. They've done an excellent job of streamlining that for the Jordan website to be able just to really get on there and get whatever you need, the products. And they come right to you through the district mail, which is fantastic. So another thing I would like to bring up is this Genius Hour. And Edutopia, thank you. Edutopia has the 6 steps for getting started with Genius Hour. I put that on there, and this really helps really solve those problems of thinking, because it can be kind of overwhelming. There is so much to think about when you're trying to do these Genius Hours, but we could actually, it doesn't have to be so difficult. So here's a quick piece on how to get started with those Genius Hours if you'd like to get started. Okay. And then our final little thing is about open-ended problems. Let's get going on that.
Students exhibit a tolerance for ambiguity, perseverance, and the capacity to work with open-ended problems.
We started with reading a book, and that introduced the real-life problem. In the story, they needed to build a bridge to save the class. So as they were designing their bridge, we wanted to incorporate money. That's a very abstract concept for young children, and the more we make it real for them, the better that they learn it.
Yeah, 1 cup is 15 cents, sorry.
So as they were deciding what they needed to buy, how much they needed to spend on their limited budget, they had to really work together, build their bridge, and then test it using the robot. The technology that's available to help people out of a dangerous situation so they didn't have to test it themselves. These abstract concepts are very difficult for them. Having the materials out on the table that they could see and knowing exactly what the cost was in this lesson, that gives them that extra support too. Give them the tools that they need in order to succeed.
Okay, does anybody have any experience with innovative design within their classroom where they've maybe given a student an open-ended problem to solve? Or what was your experiences before, and how do you plan on using this moving forward?
You know, Larissa, I might mention one that we used to do in a workshop that we did. We had like an innovative design contest where we just kind of made it open-ended, that the kids had to solve a problem. And then, so they picked an issue that they were interested in. They picked one aspect of it that they felt like they could solve. And then they only had like 20 minutes to start iterating a solution to their problem. So like something that they were passionate about, they would say, oh, I want to solve, global warming. And so they would start brainstorming, like, what's a tool that one aspect of global warming that they could work on? And they would start to design like little ideas of what they could do. And within an hour, you could have almost a little presentation / prototype designed where they would present to their peers. It was pretty cool. And I think it also came off of Edutopia or someplace, but it was just a quick little thing. And we partnered with the Lassonde Institute at the U to do some of this, but it was awesome.
Thank you for sharing, Jared. So I worked with a teacher, and her name was Janae, and she would do a STEM lab or STEM fair every year, and she would create the most amazing engineering projects for these students. Not her. She would really ask the open-ended questions and get the students thinking and doing these prototypes and moving forward. And I saw a lot of thinking, and I saw a lot of metacognition with these students, and a lot of ability for them to really work through a problem and persevere. Does there anybody else have any of their personal experiences? Hi, Kara.
One thing I would say is coming from like a ELA background, looking at the student standards would be kind of intimidating to me because I'm like, well, what does that have to do with my content area? But thinking about the innovative designer and the design process, really, it's like the process of refining something is like the writing process, right? Like the design process says you have to start with empathy and like where your audience is coming from. It's the same thing when you're writing or communicating to an audience. You have to understand where they're coming from, what's the best way to get to them. And so I think if you're working with a teacher who's in a non-STEM content area, connecting it to something that they're familiar with would help kind of bridge that gap for them. Because like once you say like, oh, this is like the writing process, I'm like, of course it is, right? Students produce something, they edit, they refine it, they make a different version of it. And so even if it's not like a handheld item, that those mental processes of like editing and improving and asking questions, those are still valuable regardless if you're STEM or not.
Oh, thank you so much for bringing that up. I thought of that so often when my students would say, I don't want to revise it. They didn't want to revise. They wanted that one to be it and be done. And they didn't see how it could be better, or they didn't want to persevere through that. And so I love that you brought that up. It is so much the writing process. Your first time producing something is not going to be the best looking thing. So keep at it, keep working through it, think forward. And what if you couldn't fail at it? What would you say? What would you write about? And let's fix it. If you don't like exactly what that's saying, let's change it. Let's keep working at it. And that I love that. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you so much for participating in our discussion today and for joining with our webinar. If you have any questions or would like to know more about any of the products that I showed in this, you can reach out to me, or you can look at our Jordan District website and reach out to any of your district learning specialists, a digital learning specialist. You can reach out to Tracy or Kelly or any of your DTL specialists, and they can help you with any product that you need.